Hello, everyone, and welcome to Balayage for Textured Hair 3D Highlighting Techniques with Clairol Professional Top Artist Oliver Adams, aka the Color King. Thank you all for joining. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to jump on. And before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping items. Number one, you will see a QR code in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And if you scan this, it will take you to a page with all the products Oliver is using during this demo. And we will put it up again at the end of class, and it'll be in the chat as well. And number two, if you have any questions during the demo, you can use the chat feature. It's at the bottom of your screen. Just a note, when you open the chat, just make sure the blue button says everyone so everyone can see your questions. And let's go ahead and try that now. If everyone could just send a message in the chat and tell us where you're tuning in from. We see Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Sharon, Susan, Yolanda, lots of people tuning in. Great to see everyone. Okay, and Oliver is here, so he will answer any questions in the chat throughout the presentation. And afterward, we'll have a 15-minute live Q&A with Oliver, and he'll answer any remaining questions. You can always ask questions in the chat, and then in the 15 minutes after the presentation, you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question live, or again, continue using the chat either way. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everybody. This is Stephanie. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
I looked at this beautiful hair. There's a lot of texture, a lot of depth here. She already, as you see, has previous color. So for me, when I look at this, she has a lot of lightness in here, not necessarily a lot of dimension. So what we want to do is just go in and not necessarily add too much more lightness, but to really add and create a lot more dimension. So I'm going to do a 3D technique, which is going to allow us, again, to add unlimited dimension, but also to add some other tones. Right now, if you look at her, she's pretty cool. Not a lot of warmth in this hair, right? You can see that she's been lifted. This is obviously lightener. So that's great. So what we're going to do is just come in here and kind of infuse some more warmth in here. She said she wants to feel like kind of caramel, and like, you know, some warmer tones in here. So I'm gonna do a technique and show you guys how to do that. Sound good? Yeah. The great thing about her, she's already got a lot of color in here, so we're just kind of adding to. She kind of likes having that dark base, so we don't have to go in and create a new base color. We're just simply going in and adding more dimension to give an overall new look. I'm gonna use a couple of different things. For our caramel color, I'm gonna go in with our 8G. This is our new demi. So that's gonna give her a nice, gentle color application without stressing any curls, but add some warmth in there. Then I'm gonna also add, this is one of my favorite combinations to use, is our liquid color, 12A and 6N. I do about equal parts. Creates like somewhere between an 8 and 9-ish. And people are like, why don't you just use 8? Or because I like to custom blend and create its own specific color for this particular hair. So I'll go in that. I'm just gonna use 20 volume. We're doing very gentle today. As you can see, she has a lot of curl and texture, so it's been bleached enough. I might add a few highlights with our shimmering lights and like 10 volume, just to add a little more. But I really wanna go in here and add some more tones. So we're not gonna necessarily focus on the bleach today, but more so on the permanent color and the demi-permanent, okay? If you guys have any questions, please just stop me at any point. This is totally interactive. So, you know, I'm here to show you guys how to do this on beautiful texture hair. How many of you guys are working on texture hair out there? Sometimes when this hair comes in, you're like, whoa, this could be a lot, right? And I talk to stylists, and sometimes they want to blow dry this, wet it, make it more tameable. But I'm here to show you guys, you don't necessarily have to be afraid of the depth of this hair, because when you get into it, it's really easy to manage. So I'm not gonna go in here and pre-section or anything. I'm just gonna go in here and start highlighting just how she brought it in, so I can visually see how her hair color falls. When I have clients with texture like this, I always ask them, just bring your hair in like you would normally wear it on an everyday basis. I asked her in our consultation, she usually does a wash and go, which is like what, conditioner, probably leave-in conditioner, some type of gel or curl treatment. So she doesn't like a lot of high maintenance to her hair. So we're gonna kind of use that for the color too, and not make it high maintenance where she would have roots on the grow out, but something that she can kind of live and grow in with it, okay? Make sense? Guys good? All right, well, let's get to it. So first thing I'm gonna do, again, I like to, yesterday I showed you guys more of like a horizontal pattern. Today, because of how I'm looking at her hair and how it comes out, we're gonna go more diagonal. So that means that color is gonna kind of shoot out. Where before it was more stationary on our last model, we're gonna create a little bit more movement because she has a little bit more length and I think her hair moves a little bit more. So that's gonna be the basis of my foundation. Now, when I'm looking here, like in my mind as a colorist, what I just see a lot of lightness. So what I wanna go in here, just kind of break some of this up and just add some beautiful pieces so that I wanna keep some of this because I like this color, but we're gonna just kind of enhance, all right? So let me mix this up real quick. Any questions for you guys? No, of course, because you guys are like the valedictorians, right? Y'all the smart ones, right? Oh, yes.
That's a high lift tint.
You're an amazing cutter, by the way. I was all on your page last night. I'm like, dang. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So that's a high lift tint that you're using, the 12.
The 12A is a high lift.
So you have, it ranges from what levels?
So this I'm using, I don't understand the question.
So you said you're using a 6 also?
Yes, I'm using a 6N, right, and a 12A.
Okay, and then
So,
you're adding the...
yes, because I want some of the ash, but I also want to add a little warmth because, again, she's so ashy all over. We're keeping that, but we want to add some warmth to go with it. I use the 12A just for the lifting ability of it and also for the tonal value, but it can be really, really ashy. Okay. So I add a little 6N to bring it down a little bit, but also to add a little bit of that warmth. So you get kind of like a balanced, warm and cool color.
Okay, so you're mixing the high lift tint
with the 6N, and then I'm only gonna use 20 volume. Okay. Because we're not trying to get, because if I was to use double 40 on this, it's gonna come in and start blending with this color, right? So we're trying to add more dimension, more tones, at least 2 more tones. So that's why I'm only gonna use 20 volume so I can use the tonal value of this and not necessarily the lift. Okay. Make sense? Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. All right, great question. Any more questions, guys? Of course not, again. Oh, thank you.
Show us your waves.
Thank you. I like this crowd. All right, so I'm gonna mix this first. And with our demi, these are some of our newer shades. Oh no, let me not mix it with that, although I can't go. And these are some of our newer shades. And so I love this 8G because what it's gonna do is add a little bit of, like I said, that honey warmth to this hair color. And I love her hair, like it's big. I like big hair. It's a lot of fun. So do you ever straighten your hair at all, or do you normally just wear it like this?
I usually wear curly, but sometimes I'll straighten it.
Okay, but not, your main go-to is just wash and go.
It is.
All right, gotcha. That makes sense. All right, I'm gonna mix both of these at the same time. So we can go ahead and go through here pretty quickly. So again, I'll do like 1 ounce of 12A. And I will do 1 ounce of 6N. So again, I like to mix this. We don't really have like a ash warm tone, so I just create one. Because why not? We'll do that with 20 volume. Perfect. We look like probably like mad scientists up here mixing all this stuff. I'm pretty sure. All right, so with her again, when I look at her hair, I like the way it has a lot of depth to it. So when you're having hair like this, you really want to create movement with your color, so that's not just sitting there for me. So I'll go in here, and again, yesterday we did more of a horizontal where we were kind of stacking it all the way. This time I'm gonna kind of start taking diagonals from her hairline. Again, we leave some of that hairline out. And like I said, because she has some blonde in there already, that helps us out a lot. But as you guys see my sectioning, turn her this way, we're gonna go more of the diagonal. So instead of going across this way, I'm gonna kind of build back towards the crown and then the same back towards the crown, so it'll look like it's just tiers like that, okay? So my first section, I usually try to start with the darkest tone at the bottom so that you just kind of build that foundation on there. And see, with her hair, because she has so much, I think that works really well. because it's gonna pick up some of that lightness and some of it won't. So you'll get a lot more definition in there when you see these highlights fall. It's gonna be beautiful. I take about an inch section, and I just go in there. I'm gonna do kind of a strong weave because she has so much hair. If we do those little bitty weaves, it's gonna get lost, right? So if you remember yesterday, we did kind of a finer weave, but this time I'm gonna go like really chunky, big pieces, right? Because she has so much lightness, I don't want the different tones to get lost. So if I go in here and do like a really fine weave, you'll see it, but you really won't. So we want those big chunks of caramel coming through, right? All right, so I'm gonna go in again. And I kind of like always, before I even apply the color, I look to see like, how does that highlight look? So we can see how big those are gonna be, right? Perfect. And you see it picked up some of the blonde and stuff, so should just give us a nice color application for this. Again, same with yesterday, we don't wanna go in there with horizontals, we go in there with verticals so that we don't create those lines. And I'm keeping this hair color probably, I'd say a half an inch to not even a full inch away from her roots, just so she doesn't have that demarcation line and she can, like I say, live and grow in this hair color. Because all of our clients don't want to be super high maintenance. I mean, I have some clients that they wouldn't mind coming every week, and we love those clients. I mean, but then you have some clients that come like once every year. So you want to be able to cater both, and you want your clients, no matter how long or how often they come to you, to, you know, always look good, because that brings you more clients, right? All right, so that would be my first one. Then again, in my mind, I'm working towards the crown, but because of how a hairline works, I'm gonna kind of brick layer too. So I'm not gonna just go boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna kind of start here, then I'll move here, come here, like this, so that she's getting some of that action in the front too. Make sense? Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, I always picture like a brick lay type of situation. Like that. And see, you can tell where they put her highlights already. So I'm just working in between that. What was your hair color before this?
Oh, it's the dark brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't wear too much light colors. What made you go this light?
I just wanted something new, you know?
Gotcha,
I've
gotcha.
had the dark hair my whole life, so time to go lighter.
So do blondes have more fun? Or is it just a myth?
I don't know, maybe.
You didn't try it out. I'm gonna go blonde next. What y'all think?
Do it.
Do it? Okay, I cut my hair, so now I can just go ahead and turn up. Sounds good. All right, so I'm going in again with a heavy weave, brick laying, and one of my favorite things to use is the Clairol liquid color. Like I said, the high lifts are amazing because they will give you a lot of lightness and beautiful tones without putting much stress on that curl pattern. And like 95% of my clients are all natural, big curly girls like this, so it's very important that we go in there and not destroy that curl pattern. I'm kind of just alternating these, foils just so you guys can see the different colors that are coming in. Visually, you'll see like, okay, that's the dark, that's the lighter, and then she'll have the blondes in between. But this is a fairly quick technique that we do in the salon. Very, very effective. The ladies love it. And I call this one 3D. Any questions on any of that? And as you can see, I'm just going in here, brick laying, and I alternate, you know, from the lighter, darker, but you could do back to back. I mean, it's just how aggressive do you want to be with the color, you know what I mean? How much do you want to see light? How much do you want to see dark? I like to leave a little hair in between. Again, that's going to create your dimension. But I'm taking those nice, fat highlights. So you can see that one, right? So that's one. I visually, literally, every highlight I do, I'm like, okay, that's gonna fall here, here. Very important to visualize how your color's gonna look. I'm gonna go in here. And I like using Demi too because it's a good quick refresh and gloss. For your tones, especially when you're changing tones or wanting to refresh old blondes or different colors like that. So our new shades, 8G is one of my favorites, especially for this time of year. It's gonna give you that nice honey. And the processing is what, 30 minutes usually, and you would mix it 2 to 1. So 2 parts developer to 1 part color. Make sense? Perfect. Now, of course, this is a demi, so it's not really gonna give us any lift, but we're just focusing on adding some of that warmth to her do. And again, with this, I always make sure you saturate. This hair texture is very coarse, so you don't wanna be in there playing with just, you wanna make sure it's juicy is what I call it, juicy highlights. All right? We just start kind of building that, so you kind of see it starting to, and so visually I'm like, okay, her curl's gonna be having a whole brand new swag right now, right quick. And we love that for her. Turn you this way. And again, want to keep like these little pieces, just keep that out of your foils. Maintain that hairline. Again, I'm just going in here. I like to put pieces right in the front because everybody likes that like money piece vibe. And she actually has like 1 or 2 grays, I think. Not too many, but a few. So that in our formula will kind of help blend those grays in and make them look like part of the highlights. So we're not mad at that. I'm sure she's not mad at that. I ain't mean to tell your business neither, but it's just, we're in a teaching environment, so. Get very chunky with it. And one of my favorite things to do, I mean, I do love monochromatic color, but adding like warm and cool in the same palette is always like a beautiful combination of colors. Because when colors cancel each other, they also complement each other too. So coming in here, like the first thing I saw with her hair is like, we need some warmth up in there, girl. It's a little cool. Excuse me, let me not drop that. And again, if she didn't have so much of the blonde already, I would probably go in there with my high lift 12N or 12A and double 40 just to add some light pieces or blonde pieces. But I felt like she had a lot of blonde already. And so adding even more would just be a little overkill, in my opinion. Again, as an artist, it's up to your interpretation. But for me, I'm like, yeah, let's just add some more tones. Because, I mean, she's got plenty of blonde in there. So that was my thought process. You guys agree?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You're not just saying it?
No.
Okay, all right. Even if you were, that's cool, but. All right. You right under there, babe?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And again, I love doing highlights. I mean, almost, if I wasn't doing multi-dimension, I would do probably more of a pintura technique on her where I'm not even using foils. I'm just kind of hand painting the curls. But because I'm using demi and a couple different shades, I'm just really using the foils to separate that. But with this texture hair, she doesn't even necessarily need foils to do this. But because it looks cute on camera, we'll use the foils. But with this texture, pintura is a fun technique to use too. You're just basically like hand painting and free hand painting individual curls. You're looking where those curls, I call it curl personality. You're literally stepping back to see which curls want to pop out the most, and you select those and hand paint them. But again, for this purpose, we'll use foils, but you definitely would not be wrong to not use foils. You kind of just see how it falls. She's gonna be cute. Move this around. So, and this is why I'm so glad, because just talking to you guys, I already forgot like which color I'm using. So looking at my foils, I'm able to see I'm on the dark color this time. So we'll do it like that. Now with this technique, it's really, for me, more dramatic if you just do it kind of like face framing. You could do whole head for sure, not wrong. But for me, putting all the party in the front, business in the back, it's kind of like one of those things. And as far as her styling afterwards, I think she's gonna still wear it natural, So you guys will really be able to see the beautiful dimension that we're adding. Okay, so you want her here. I'm gonna just do it kind of backwards like this. I think I can handle it. She does have a lot of hair. Let's don't make no mistake about this.
I have a question. So I've noticed
Absolutely.
that you haven't used like combs or like, I mean, is it better to use your fingers with curly hair because it doesn't use
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
Some people are kind of intimidated by that. I think I work with a lot of textures, so I'm comfortable with that. But that's why I kind of show you guys how I handle it. Because again, trying to come in here and like comb it out or make it straight is kind of overkill. And then it's almost like you're not gonna get the full effect of how the color falls when she wears it like this. So you can really misplace your color and all that kind of stuff. So for me, even if you wanted to spray this with leave-in conditioner, just kind of mist it on the ends and comb it through, I think that would be okay to make it more manageable. But honestly, you want the natural texture to kind of show so that you can really understand like where you're placing it visually. Almost like when we cut hair wet, you can almost cut too much because it looks different when it's dry. So same with this, if you straighten this out and everything, and it's just, you can get color in, but is it gonna be how it's supposed to fall and stuff like that? So yeah, I don't really come in here and do too much unless her hair was like super coarse. But you know, it's okay, you're gonna get a little resistance in there, but she's had this hair her whole life. She understands, like, you know what I mean? I'm not like ripping her hair through, but you know, it's a little texture. I mean, and just what comes with it, right? Like you understand that, so don't be intimidated by it, you know? And if you do have clients that have big hair, like I'll even tell them like, you know, just for speed, time's sake, you know, maybe come with it braided or detangled as much as possible. I feel like they detangle their hair sometimes better than we can, and then that can help you too. But you know, if she comes like this, we're just going in there like that. Because for me, it's gonna take me an additional 30 to 45 minutes to try to change this and make it, I'm gonna have to charge you for that. Yeah. And you know, most of the time I just jump in right on into it. I like the organic placement anyway, you know? So, but again, it wouldn't be wrong to break this down, but like I always tell stylists, it's just not necessary. You don't have to do it that way, you know? So just try it this way, you know? Don't be scared. It's all right.
Oliver, do you
Yes.
charge hourly or?
I need to. Nah, I don't. I pretty much charge one flat rate, depending on, you know, what color service they get. Okay. I don't even change. She might have this much hair, like you said yesterday, like if they get this much cut, or this, it's the same price. Thing, yeah. Same price. Okay. So if she had half this hair, it would still be the same price. Okay. So yeah, but I don't know, hourly, because some of these women hair take a long time. Hourly doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But no, we pretty much do a flat rate. My service is just based on color. I mean, I include the style, or they can wash and go, same price. So for me, I just charge for the color, the time, and the you know, expertise. Yeah, exactly. And then how you leave with it once the color is in, I'm really literally like, I don't care. Yeah. Like you can leave blow dry your own, my assistant can do it, I can do it, but once the color is done, I feel like my work is done. So, the color is the style, you know what I'm saying? But I have a lot of natural curly girls that, you know, they don't press their hair out often. Especially I'm in Atlanta too, it's hot, it's humid. Their press will last like 30 minutes, so they don't do it a lot. But you know, it's available for them. But yeah, my prices is based strictly on just the color. Yep, absolutely. Great question.
Do you do cutting as well?
I do cut.
Okay.
I don't do, what do they call, natural cuts, diva cuts, curly hair cuts. Yeah. I can't stand them. I know some people do them amazing, but a lot of people jack them up, and it drives me crazy. So all my cutting is really primarily done wet or straight.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've done some diva curl training as far as just to see the concepts and stuff. Yeah. Just not my thing, because I get these kind of, do you cut hair curly? No. We're gonna be straight, but you know, that's just personal preference. Yeah. So yeah, no, I really pretty much, like if she came to me and wanted a haircut, I would definitely bust her hair down and then cut it. But when I cut it straight, I do cut it so that when she does wear it curly, it's got the shape.
Yes.
Yeah, but a lot of times with those natural cuts, you know, you straighten them and you're like, what's going on here? It's all like, so I prefer to just do it, reverse that. Straighten it so you get a nice cut so that you can wear it straight or curly, and then boom. So.
Yeah, I'm sure her hair is so long.
Oh man, I was looking at it. I was like, I'm sure her hair is super long. Yeah, absolutely. And it's very coarse, so very nice. Love it. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. So if she came in for a haircut, I would definitely have her go through the process where we kind of like silk press it out, get it straight. Then you'll really be able to see what needs to be cut too. Sometimes like this, like you can kind of see what needs to be cut, but do you really? You can really see exactly. You're like, whoa, we need to take off like this much of that. Exactly. So, you know, because, and then I tell my curly girls, because a lot of times when their hair is curly, you just can't see it. You know, like even their roots, sometimes when you're wearing it big, you can't see it. As soon as you bust it down, it's like, girl, you got this much roots, you got this much needs to be cut off, but you really can't see it unless you get it straight. Exactly. So then I came up in the era where, you know, relaxers was like all we did. So I've had to transition and change a lot to even get with the natural hair movement. Because 10, 15 years ago, none of these girls wore their hair like this for real. And now all of them do. Even some of them don't even like it, but it's just almost like you gotta do it. Like I get clients, they're like, I wanna wear a relaxer. I'm like, it's okay, it's not a crime or nothing. It's like, yeah, they're just like, I mean, like they're gonna get outcasted if anyone finds out they have a relaxer. So yeah, exactly, like, shh. They're like, do you do relaxers? I'm like, yes, of course. Hell yeah. So it's just time to change, you know? But yeah, for sure. I mean, I love dealing with the natural curly hair, but I like to get in a straight state too and see what's really happening with it. So I'm not one of those guys that's like, you wear relaxer? I mean, I know I have some stylists, but 10 years ago, I swore I would never do anyone that didn't have a relaxer. So just like I tell my stylists, you have to be willing to like change and adapt to what's going on. You know, even old stylists, they don't want to get on with this social media and this content creating. I'm like, you're gonna get left literally, like you have to do it. Like, so it's just one of those things. But yeah, I've learned to adapt with the curly hairs. I'm still not even like a texture stylist, I wouldn't say. Because I know people that can really style and do all this curly hair. It's not really my forte. I probably could, but like I say, I'm a color guy. So once the color is done, I'm done. But I'm trying to even, you know, in my own bag, just kind of work on stuff more like that, because it's important to understand what products you need to, you know, make these curls do what they do. And, you know, it is important to understand, because this is really a 90% of my clientele. But I don't know. I'm evolving and growing too. So, absolutely. You guys seeing that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we can see all the colors that's gonna come on here. Let me keep her straight. I got you. I almost turned her. So we're almost finished as far as the placement. And I like to put a lot in the front. Like, you can't have too much, you know, so go crazy and it's all good. I feel she's excited. I can feel it underneath the foils. I can feel it. It's the energy. You was excited all week about this, right, Stephanie?
I was.
See, told y'all. And again, I'm making sure that I come close to that hairline, because again, you want most of the action like right here in the front. So I'm really going like right up to her hairline, taking that little bit out, but then putting that color like immediately right behind it. And again, for a quick recap, in my foils, I have in the lighter color foils, the silver foils, I have our custom color of 12A and 12N, 20 volume. And then in my darker purple ones, I have our 8G, Wella Color Charm, Demi. Perfect, perfect. Any questions on any of that, guys? Just such great students. or is it early?
Such a good
One or the
picture.
other.
That's what it really is.
I'll take that. I've been doing this a pretty long time. I've been with the company. I told you guys I'm a top artist for Wella, Clairol, Color Charm. And I've been with them 23 years. I can't even believe that.
You were just a baby.
I was just a baby. I was 5 years old. Can y'all believe that? 5 years old when I started. It's amazing. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I started out in 2000, and I was on the show team, moving boxes and doing everything but hair. And I've been just so fortunate to grow up in this industry and be around so many amazing artists. I met so many amazing artists this weekend. Gosh, I'm like, I need to go reboot. It's amazing. All right, got a few more. Sorry, I'm kind of working backwards here. I would be on that side, but for the cameras. Okay. Yeah, you guys had to see the red yesterday. It was really pretty. She hit me last night, like, everywhere I'm going, I'm getting so many people stopping me. I'm like, yeah, Color King was here, you know what I'm saying? Love to see it. See that chunky, y'all guys see that highlight?
Oh, yeah.
I would even pull some of this out so we get a more defined, right? And that's why I look, because sometimes, you know, you want it to really stand out, right? Like, this is my highlight. This is my highlight. You know, you want to be able to pull it out. So I always kind of like visualize it. And if I need to like thin it out or like take some of that out in the middle, I can do that. Then boom, I got my highlights falling right there. Bam. Guys see that? Word up. And we'll put some carameller. Yeah, this is the thing I've been doing the most in the salon lately, these 3Ds. And I mean, every time I post it, it goes crazy. Because again, it's just about adding that dimension, right? Used to be clients just wanted their hair light, they didn't care, but now they want to see some browns and some golds and some, you know, different tones in there. And so yeah, once we get all these highlights in, and low lights, I would let her process for maybe 20 minutes. And she'll be ready to go. Any questions on that? Great.
Now, do you do any emulsifying at the shampoo bowl to spread that tone out, or are you wanting to keep those, preserve the lightness of those highlights?
Yes. Great question. And I do want to preserve them.
Okay.
So I won't emulsify on this one.
Okay.
There are certain ones, clients or colors that I would. On this particular one, no, because what I want.
You want to see those pop.
Exactly, and I want them to be very clear and like defined, like inside even her, because like even with her previous color, I feel like, yeah, you see lightness, but is it really defined? Can I say like, oh, you know, I want to see like actual lines, actual highlights. So that's why we keeping these pretty separated. I want you to take one section of her hair and be like, wow, there's that color, and that color. So that's the purpose. But if I wanted more like a balayage or like, you know, more like a blended color melt, I would definitely emulsify more at the shampoo bowl. But for this is pretty precise, and I want to be able to count like 40 lines, like I see. In my mind, that's like how I see it. This mind is a little crazy, so I don't know if it's gonna work, but I think so. All right, I kind of got to go right here. I can see my diagonals because I got to come in here. But I'll keep her facing this way. I mean, she got a lot of hair. I'm sure you heard that all your life, right?
I have, yes.
Just going through there. When's the last time you cut this hair? Do you cut this hair often?
At least like I try at least once a year.
Once a
Yeah,
year?
you should probably be better about that.
Probably, yes. Okay, all good, all good. I try to tell my clients to come in maybe like every season, right? That's 4 times a year, where you are coming like every 10 to 12 weeks. Even if you skip a season, you should not be skipping 2 seasons.
Okay.
Okay? So we're gonna work from once a year to like at least maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now, next time I come here, I'm gonna check.
Fresh cut.
You better have a fresh cut. But yeah, I know all my curly girls, when they wear their hair like this, that's the one thing they hardly ever do is get a trim. Like, I didn't know. You knew. You just didn't want to cut your hair. I know. But for maximum length and growth, you're gonna want to definitely get it done a little bit more often, boo. You see how the diagonals is kind of, right? Very important placement. And when I see these sections, I'm just looking for the curls that are gonna pop out the most. Because some curls are stronger than others, right? And even when I look at this section, I see like this is a pretty good one. This is definitely very strong in here. So these would be the pieces, if I pull up a section and it's kind of thinner here, I'm probably not gonna put as much color in that section because it's gonna look thin at the end too. So always looking for that curl personality is very, very important because not all the curls want to be a lead singer or want the highlights, they just want to be in the background. But see, these are 3 strong curls, right? See, and here is kind of thinner, so I don't necessarily need to put color there, but for a really strong result, putting my highlights there. Make sense?
Curl personality, that's nice.
Curl personality, because some curls are shy, some curls want to show out a little bit, no curls are the same. So it's like if you literally look at them, you'll see which ones are stronger. The stronger ones are the ones I say they want to jump out front, They want to be a lead singer. So we give it to them. Boom. And when you put it on the foil, you really see how big those are. Another thing, sometimes I'll do like a fatter one, a smaller one, and then a fatter one again, just to give it a natural flow. If everyone is like cookie cutter, then it doesn't look as natural, right? Some curls are fat, some are not. Maybe I shouldn't call them fat, but you know what I mean. Just coming in there. I still will leave a little veil for her so that those colors kind of peekaboo from underneath. But yeah, she's just about wrapped up. So before I wrap this placement up, any more questions? I would let this process for about 20 minutes. Don't necessarily need heat. Not wrong if you do use heat, but for this, I don't think we will. We're just gonna deposit only, let her 20 minutes, and then I'll take her to the shampoo bowl, give her a nice conditioning treatment, and she should be ready to go. Another reason why I love using demi and permanent is because it's one step. I'm not gonna have to tone this later. Like if we did it right, it should be right at the shampoo bowl and you'll see it. And then maybe sometimes depending on if it's not blending right, I might use like my purple shampoo or something just to kind of glaze it all and bring it together. But ultimately, once you do these highlights, she should be pretty much done. Yes?
In what instance would you do this application and then put your client under the dryer?
If I was putting more lighter pieces.
Okay.
Since most of these are kind of more deposit only, I don't think it's as necessary. But if I wanted to get a little bit more lift, like even when I'm using high lift, without heat, it's gonna give you about 4 levels, 3 or 4, depending on how thick her hair is. But if she has a super thick texture like her, if I was really trying to get some blondes in, I would definitely put her under the dryer because it's really based on the texture of the hair. Her hair is super thick. Each one is like thick, so she can handle it. If her hair was a little more finer, I probably would not put her under the heat. It just, again, depends for me how light I'm trying to go and what texture.
Cool.
Yep.
So you're doing every other color. When would you change that and do maybe like a couple of little single effects?
When I run out, I don't know. I think I actually did do a couple back-to-backs, probably more in the front, like on the top. So like I might, because they like to see a lot more lighter here, I might do like a couple back-to-backs light and then let the darks come underneath. But again, you could do it same. It doesn't really matter. You could do all dark on this side, all light on this side. Give it a, it's whatever you want. But for me, yeah, I think that if, like on top, I would like a nice layer of lightness. So that's probably when I would do like back-to-backs. Great question. Any more questions? This will be my last one, I think, right here. Boom. Pretty aggressive on the top. Because again, they don't really care what's going on except for what they can see in that mirror. Boom. This will be my last one, and I'm gonna use my light too, but again, you guys can see that. I always look through, just do a self-check, right? Clean that up a little bit. Boom. I think that's a pretty strong highlight. Guys think? Yep, all right, last one. And we've used all our colors, so we know we did it right. I think I did back-to-back light ones on this one too, so she should have a nice pop of color. But again, the key to this is not just putting all the foils in, it's how much you leave in between the foils too, right? So you wanna have some of that dark and that light other color too. That's almost just as important as the foils. If you put them too close, it'll just be like how we started and you won't really have that definition. All right? Good job. This seems pretty easy, right? You understand the placement and the reason for everything I've done, correct? Yeah. You understand the formula and why I use what I use, right? All right, well, not much more to say. We'll just let this process and let the work speak for itself. But again, I think that no curls were harmed in this experiment. So we are in the house. I see that by all of the foils. She's got definitely some action, because clients are like, am I gonna be able to see it? Oh, you're gonna see it. You're for sure gonna see it. And again, for me, I just leave, I think if I show you guys the back, I think she has enough action going in here. I might just even tone some of this, like with our Shimmer and Light shampoo and conditioner. Because for me, it's a little kind of like brassy, right? So just by putting that purple on there, it's gonna really like clean that out and refresh it. We don't really have to necessarily go in here and do a lot. To me, in the back, when you do too much highlights, it can kind of look like spotty. So we wanna kind of let it naturally flow. So I think that we have so much in the front. As you can see, all this gonna come this way and that way. So I think it'll give her a nice little look. So. If y'all don't have any more questions, that's it for this part. And again, we're gonna let her process for about 20 minutes, and we'll do her nice conditioning treatment, and we'll bring her back out and y'all can see the magic. Good? Thank you. All right, so we're back with her beautiful finished look. What do you guys think, right? Gorgeous? Yes. So as you can see, we just went in and we just went around her existing highlights to keep some of that lightness. And remember, we talked about just having specific curls. I can pull these up so you guys can just see the 3 different tones, where she would have like this beautiful copper brown, more like a golden brown, and then this beautiful blonde. So no matter how she styles this hair and parts it and does cute little things, you'll get to see a lot of that dimension coming through. So just a quick, easy, fun way to add dimension into this beautiful texture without stressing the curls. And as you guys can see, we kind of knocked some of those ends off and gave her a beautiful natural shape, and she's ready to go. So she loves it. I think she's feeling herself, as you can see by this smile. Again, we used our Clairol liquid color, 12N and 6A, to create a nice brown. We used our 8G demi to create this beautiful golden copper honey color. And then we just actually used her existing highlights to do what they do. And I think it came out gorgeous. So a quick, fun, easy technique for you guys to use. If she does this straight, it will look beautiful. You will even see the dimension even more right around that fringe. So a very versatile look, a very easy application, and I think she's ready to go. So thank you for your time. That is my presentation, and I'll see you guys next time.
Wow. Okay. So many great questions from everyone. Thank you to everyone who wrote a question. And we do have Oliver on with us. Oliver, thank you for answering most of these questions. But we are going to invite Oliver on now. So Oliver, we will invite you to come on video.
All righty.
Hello. Hello.
What's up, everybody?
You did such a great job answering most of these questions. I think there are a few that were still left, and we do have some people who have raised their hands. So we'll get to a couple questions from the chat first, and then if anyone else wants to raise their hand, we'll take questions from there. Okay, so first of all, we had a question about her next visit. Would you repeat this pattern or would you switch it up on her next visit?
Probably switch it up, guys. One thing for me, especially when I'm dealing with texture hair, because the curls always want to do their own thing, it's usually custom every time they come. So we will just kind of look at where her hair is. Has it faded out? Do you want it more light? Do you want it more wild? Do you want it more mild? And then we will kind of create something that's going to help us achieve that. So I'm not one of those people that's necessarily going to try to go in there and pick up every highlight and try to retouch it at the root. It's just not going to happen. So for me, usually my color is changing depending on what season it is, what's our focus colors and tonal palette right now. You know, there's so many different variables. So no, I probably would not retouch it exactly the same, but we would probably figure out another way to get some more dimension in there, or maybe overall keep the highlights just where they are and then just put a new overall tone on it, which will give you a whole different look and less stress and much quicker. So again, it's just depending on, you know, how the hair looks when it comes back. But I'm one of those colors that usually is going to customize. I don't even write down formulas or anything. So, you know, we're just going to customize every single time you come in.
Great. A few more questions here. Oh, it looks like Tyra has a question. Tyra, you are unmuted.
Would you use the same processing if the if the client didn't have pre-existing highlights?
Yeah, it would be probably a little different because we would have to be trying to add the lightness. Like when she came, her problem was it was too light. She's like, it's just all over blonde. So we had to go in there and actually add dimension. So if she would have came and she didn't have all of that lightness, I probably would have used a different technique. Maybe the same pattern as far as where the curls were following, maybe different formulas so that we could achieve more lightness. But we just let kind of the lightness she already had dictate our formula and our placement. Hope that makes sense or helps.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Tyra. Okay, some more questions here. So Nicole asked, I know you can't bleach relaxed hair, but I was wondering if you can use a high lift color on relaxed hair.
Great question. And that's exactly what we do. Because we don't ever want to have the overlapping of that color, of that bleach and the relaxer, because that's where you start to find issues. I maintain my blonde colors 100% of the time with high lifts if they have a relaxer. So yes, you can absolutely. And the thing you want to make sure it's not the 2 weeks in between. That's the issue. You want to make sure that even if it is 2 weeks, that they have a shampoo in between. You don't want to go from chemical to chemical. And because high lift is not bleach, it's still a chemical. So, and you always want to address the texture first. So, you know, if they come in and their hair needs a relaxer, but they're telling you about color, sorry, someone's trying to call in. So if they come in and you see that the texture needs to be addressed, and they're still hollering about color, you have to explain, let's do your relaxer first. Then we're going to do a shampoo within 2 weeks, and then you'll be ready for your color 2 weeks after that shampoo. All right. And that'll keep you with no issues. And again, you don't want to overlap too much. It's nearly impossible not to overlap, but you want to keep it to a minimum and always use that high lift and not the bleach if there's relaxer present.
Great. Thank you, Oliver.
You're so welcome.
Brenda has a question. Brenda, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes.
Hi, I'm just basically I needed to know because I have a lot of clients that have like gray hair and they want to keep it curly with the gel, but sometimes they have like no highlight, but you know how gray hair is kind of hard to get the gel and it's natural. I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to look right instead of dry, with the gel after, I do the hair and whatnot and trim it and whatnot. And they have,
Hmm.
maybe a little dimensional haircut with a blunt and whatnot, but it doesn't seem to hold right. And they need color, but I use the purple shampoo and the conditioner sometimes, but doesn't seem like these things are working that right with the gray.
Got you. So is your question more based upon the gray and the color it is, or based on the texture after you've tried to style it? Which are you
I'm
asking
thinking
about?
it's based on the color of the gray. It's not
Okay.
tarnished or anything. It's this white gray.
Okay. Well, for
And
me, when I'm trying to do curly style, gel is
uh,
one of the things that I probably use the least amount because it will dry and be crunchy on you. So I
okay,
would say try to use even a mousse or a gel, or excuse me, a mousse or a cream. And even if
okay,
you still want to use your gel, maybe use like part gel and then part mousse. So that'll kind of soften it up a little bit and
all
still give
right.
you that hold. I would try that because a lot of times it's not nothing you're doing wrong, just a
Mm-hmm.
natural, the way gel works, it's supposed to get hard. That's what we
Okay,
use gel for, to
right.
slick things
Flick
down
it
and,
down.
and, and to make it hard. So if you're trying to
Exactly.
do curls, gel is probably not the best thing for that because it's still
Mm-hmm.
doing its job and making it crunchy. So I always utilize a mousse. And if I gotta use gel, I just use a little and cocktail it with my mousse or cream. And that should give you a softer hold where you can actually you don't even need oil or anything. You can actually just like squeeze the curls and they'll be soft. As
Okay.
opposed to with that gel, it'll get caked up on you. And depending
Yeah.
on which gel you use, you might have to use
Uh,
water just to break it down.
yes, that's true. That's what I do. And then a lot of times they have it short in the back. It's really cut short.
Yeah,
And
so that's where you will want to use your gel more so. But with those curls, you're gonna want to try to use a cream or a mousse is gonna give you much softer results. And if you use the right one, you're still gonna get the same amount of hold. It just won't be crunchy.
okay.
So
Yeah.
try that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. And when you're dealing with curls, I find that gel, especially if you're dealing with curls that have blonde in them, like that's gonna make your hair too hard. Anytime hair is too hard, what is it gonna do? Naturally, just break off.
Okay.
So if you're dealing with clients, not only with the gray, but if say they have bleach
Right.
curls, then you're gonna want to stay away from gel too, because it'll just make it harder for them to. They'll just get crunchy and literally snap. So
Okay.
try
Just one.
that. I think that'll help.
Great. Thank you so much, Brenda. And Oliver, we do have a couple questions about what you recommend for the back of the head. I know you kind of covered this, but we got some more
Okay.
about it.
So I guess when they ask in the back, are they just talking about as far as the highlight placement, or what is the actual question about the back that they're wanting to know?
Yeah, Ariel, she is raising her hand right now, and she had a question about the back, so maybe she can expand on that. Ariel?
Yes, pretty much. Thank you, by the way. The placement is what I was curious about.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So what I usually do, here's the thing about when you're dealing with textured hair, it's always based on the length and the style that they're wearing, right? If you have someone's hair that is very coarse and it kind of shrinks up, it has shrinkage, you're not going to want to utilize a lot of highlights back here because what happens is it looks like spots. Like, you'll be going in there and putting highlights, but when you put the juice in it and this curl and I'm standing behind her in the line at the store, all I'm seeing is little dots. So it's not really necessarily pretty. You want to make sure that hair has enough hang time to even go in there and put highlights. But when you do, what I like to do is utilize a V, right? I wish I had something I could show you guys, but if you think about a V, in the middle of their head, and then I'm creating diagonals right off of that V. So my highlights would come from here. I'm doing highlights right here. So, and then right here. So what you're trying to do is create, I'm gonna try to turn around and show you guys a V like this. Let me see, like this. And then where we're doing highlights here and here, leaving this area with no highlights because that's gonna be spotty. Plus, if you did your highlights correctly up in the front, this top crown, they're gonna have highlights here. That's gonna fall over into your back. So you don't have to do crazy amounts of highlights in the back. If I do that V, I usually do like 2 to 3 foils on this side and 2 to 3 foils on this side. We're doing a V because what that does is create diagonal. When you create diagonals, you're creating movement so your hair color shoots out. If I go in there and just do horizontals and stack them on top of each other, or verticals and stack them like this, you're not gonna get any movement. And so all that hair color looks like it's just choppy. So you wanna create diagonals so that, you know, when they put it up in a ponytail or a bun, you get those beautiful highlights and it's not just looking like color that doesn't move. Remember, when we create horizontals, verticals, and diagonals, there's a reason why we place it that way. Horizontally means that what? That's for something like a bob where it's not gonna move. If you have a bob cut, whether it's curly or not, it doesn't matter. It's the shape. If you have a bob, that means there's no movement. So you wouldn't want to go into a bob and create diagonals because you're not going to see the color, because diagonals are made for hair that moves, for layers. If you have a blunt cut, why would I put diagonals? You're not going to see all that color underneath because it's all one length, if that makes sense. So when you're dealing with that back in the back, you want to create movement with the color and not just like you took a color and just slapped it on the back of her head, right? If that makes sense. So that's why I'll just create a V, simply do 3 here, 3 there, if they're hit. And it also depends on, do that. All heads are not created equal. Some people have a smaller head, some people have a bigger head. So this is why you don't want to just say, oh, it's the back, I'm going to do diagonals. No, you want to really place the color based on what that client is giving you. What's their texture? What's the length? What's the size of their head? How do they normally wear their hair? If you have someone that wears their hair all the time in a ponytail, I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm doing my placement in the back, because I don't want to create something where they're not going to see it. So exactly, horizontal doesn't move, vertical doesn't really move. The only really movement you're going to create is with diagonals. So that's what I usually do in the back. Gone is the days where we're doing 800 foils in the back. You're not going to get that out of me. I'm not going to say that's wrong, because I know some people just have to have a million foils. Knock yourself out. But honestly, when you're dealing with this texture, sometimes less is more. You want to just go in there, like we talked about the curl personality, see which curls are strong enough or really that pop out in that design that want to have color. Sometimes we just do overkill, you know? So utilizing diagonal is going to make you get as much bang for your buck back there, but you're not going to do half the work. All right. And I
Thank
can
you
show
so
this.
much.
Oh, you're welcome. And I can show you guys this. You know, if you guys are following me, we do this type of stuff on my Instagram all the time. I know it's a lot to learn in one little session here. But yeah, understanding horizontals, verticals, and diagonals is huge. And even how much should I weave inside of those? So we talk about all of that. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would do the back. And sometimes the back doesn't need anything. Sometimes I'll tone down the back to make it dark so that all the pieces that I put in the front accent even more. It's almost like if you have some textures they don't want bleach, right? The way you can make those colors look lighter is make the back darker. So I don't even have to take it to a bleach blonde. I can make a light brown look like blonde by giving it a darker background, if that makes sense. Same thing they do in photography, same things they do in, you know, art or painting. It's the same thing. It's all about an optical illusion. So it's not always about, oh, let me go and put all this blonde in. I can make it look blonde by just putting darker tones next to it. All right.
Great explanation, Oliver. Thank you. Okay, we have time for 2 quick questions. This one is from Michael. During the application, would it have been okay to lightly backcomb the hair to diffuse the color at the roots?
I love that question, Michael. And this is also a great question now. This is where I always teach. Depending on that texture, you're not going to want to go in there and start backcombing, right? Because it's going to be a tangly mess when you try to get it to the shampoo bowl. The thing about it is, and I don't know if you can really see it in the video, when I'm doing textured hair, especially, I usually just will not take it all the way to the root. If I'm doing a balayage, I'll take it almost and leave maybe like half an inch to an inch, and I'm taking my color up to here. And let me put it up to here and leaving this root, right? You could go in there and backcomb it. Unless it's a super fine texture, I wouldn't recommend it, because you're going to go from hair being this big to this big. And it's really not going to serve a purpose, because you can get to those roots and leave those roots out without backcombing. When you have hair that's fine or that grows this way, not this way, backcombing is necessary to get that how do we say, the distance between the root so that you're not getting color all the way to the root. When you're dealing with thick textures of hair, that color is going to go exactly where you put it and stay. So it's really no need to back comb. I back combed and been in a whole situation I didn't want to be in. So at all costs, if you don't have to, don't do it, especially on textured hair. Now, when I'm doing someone with fine hair, like I said, my Caucasian clients, I'm definitely back combing, because if you don't, it's going to seep down to that root. But with this texture hair, you really don't have to do that.
Great. Okay. Last question from Julian. If your model had a finer texture, would you change your formula to get the same look?
I probably would. And that's a great question. A lot of times, I do pick my developer based on the texture of that hair. Finer textures, they're going to need a little less developers. So they don't need a higher developer to get those lighter colors. But sometimes, say you have a super thick texture and you try to use a 20 volume, it's going to act like a 10. So that's kind of my guide. Thicker textures, you go down one. Finer textures, you go up one. So if I'm dealing with a thick texture, a 20 volume is really going to act like a 10 volume. So I need to go 30, and vice versa. If I'm dealing with a fine, 20 volume is really going to act like a 30 volume. So I can kind of keep it at 20 or even sometimes go down to a 10. Again, it also depends on what's the level of lightness I'm trying to achieve. But developer is very, very important in determining that based on the texture type, the density, how porous is the hair. Again, guys, it's not like one cookie cut answer. You really have to understand what you're looking at and where you're trying to go and how those products are going to affect that curl type.
All right. Thank you so much, Oliver.